Hi, I'm Mel Thadea. I'm a visual designer from Indonesia. Currently, my home would probably be in the UK, but my home always changes depending on where I live, obviously, but also where I work and where I go to school. I prefer to call myself a global citizen because there is no one country that I'm currently settling in for a long time. I always wanted to change from country to country, so I always like to explore the world and changes my environment depending on my passion and where the job called me, I suppose. I've been professionally creating for the past 5 years. It started as an internship as a videographer, and then I transitioned into a graphic designer and a motion graphic designer, and now I transition again into a VFX and animation industry. My work so far have been ranging from motion graphic design, and now 3D work like VFX and animation. So obviously all of them are digital. So I would say my work would be 95% digital and another 5% analog, and those 5% would be my hobby when I have the time. I think, like a lot of creatives, I'm definitely a procrastinator. I'm a firm believer to do research in the beginning of the projects and actually put a lot of time and effort into the research to get the motivation to explore the best idea, to explore alternatives of idea. So that takes a lot of chunk of the time, and I will push the production quite close to the deadline. I've always been a night owl, though I am envious with the early bird people. I try to be an early bird, but it never really stick for long. It's always been easier for me to stay later and work throughout the night rather than wake up earlier. I'm not sure I have any advice to give to my younger self. If I have to give one, probably it's good to be different, and there's always a place to explore and just keep going of what I'm doing. I would say I don't have any particular playlist. It always depends on the kind of project I'm doing. If I have to do a lot of creative thinking, I would probably listen to a lot of classical music or jazz. Basically music that doesn't have a lot of lyrics. But if I have to do a lot of executing the project, if I have to execute the project, I would probably listen to podcasts or films to keep me not bored, I suppose. If I were an animal, I would say I probably would be a tiger, just like my Chinese zodiac. So in university, I study a course called Computer Animation and Technical Arts, which basically explore the technicality, the math, and the engineering behind VFX and animation. I'm not exactly a snack person. I prefer to have 3 meals a day and that's it. I don't like to stop in the middle of my work and get up and do something, so I try not to do that as much as possible. So over the years, I learned what works and doesn't work for me to recharge my creative juices and prevent me from burning out. So what I found is that the most important is to just get up and get away from the desk and get away from the computer. Right now, because I live in the small city, there's not a lot of things to do, so I would just take a random walk along the street or just go to a movie if there is a good one, and that usually do the trick. So my inspiration came from a lot of different artists. It always changes depending on the project I'm working on and the creative fields I'm on. But I'm also a believer that it's good to draw out inspiration from different fields and not just one field. For example, when I do 3D portrait, I make sure I also find inspiration from illustration, from paintings, from photography, and from films. So my favorite illustrator is Xencelabs. In the internet, she probably known as Very Little Bitch. She has, even though her style is totally different from mine, her approach to her art is very interesting and very transparent and very bright, and I strive to have the same kind of message and the same kind of vibe of what she's making. The project that I'm most proud of would be the 3D portrait. It's basically a portrait that I created completely digital by taking scan data and process it through 3D pipeline. The reason I'm proud about it is because I learned, first of all, because I learned so much from that project of how pipeline works, but also how human looks and what it takes to make it real. And I learned that imperfections are very important. But through 3D and recreating a portraiture, I actually see that those imperfections is what makes us look real, like human beings.